Hey guys, what's going on? BGs here, and today we're going to talk about my 7-star rank 2 destroyer. So a bit of backstory on how I got this guy and why he's rank 2, because I think it's kind of funny. I had 2 Titan crystals to open. I opened them. First one was Destroyer, and he's Sig 0. Next one was Kushala. She's also Sig 0. So these were first time pulls. I was kind of torn on who to rank up. I had the Mystic materials to rank up only one of them, and I just didn't know. So I went to my girlfriend. She doesn't play the game, and I asked her, I'm like, hey, who would you rank to? And she's like, go with Destroyer, he looks cooler. So that's what we did. And for a while I had a 7-star rank 2 Destroyer that was unduped, and he was kind of collecting dust on my account. Until recently I got another Titan crystal and I duped him. So now we have a really strong Mystic defender, and I figured why not take him for a spin, see what he can do, and make a cool showcase for you guys. So we are starting the showcase off in Realm of Legends against Captain Marvel, just to show off 2 different loops, because I really don't know which loop is the best loop for him. So this is going to be the special 3 into special 2s. The other one's going to be no special 3 into special 2s. And the special 2 damage is amplified so much by that degeneration that it's like, it's overkill. Like right there, like that was just nuts. That would be 2 straight, you know, that would be like 300,000 damage from those 2 special 2s if the last, you know, hits did what they needed to. You know, if she wasn't dead. It's like overkill for a 500,000 health pool. But then you don't use the special 3, and then the special 2s kind of suck. They are underwhelming. So yeah, he's an interesting champion in that aspect, because I'm not sure like what's the best way to use him, and when do I want to use the special 3, when do I not want to use the special 3, because the special 3 is so strong. It's like, it's almost like, yeah, I don't want to use it in this fight because it's just gonna be overkill, but then you don't use it and you're like, holy crap, I didn't do that much damage. You know, he's kind of a weird champion in that regard. He does a lot of things that are weird that we'll get into. I think he's a cool champion, but he's unique, and he's an odd guy. So here we're gonna start dropping these special 2s, and the burst at the end is only 34,000. Granted, we've got this power gain, so we can keep spamming them. We were able to drop 3 special 2s in quick succession and get, you know, 34,000 bursts on the end of each of them. So that's 100,000 damage, not counting just like the actual special attacks. So I don't know. A cool thing about Destroyer, if you guys have noticed, he's kind of like an anti-mystic champion, if that makes sense. He does mystic things without like falling under that umbrella of the mystic thing. And I think I can say this. Destroyer was designed by the same person who did Spidey Supreme, and Spidey Supreme was one of those first mystic champions that we saw that does a lot of mystic things without falling under that umbrella of the mystic thing. Like the ability power rate reduction by the opponent just having buffs on them is a mystic thing, but he doesn't do it in ways that other mystic champs do it. So like America Chavez has dimensions that will do it, and you know, Spidey Supreme is just like, all right, whatever, you're gonna do your thing as a cosmic champion, just gain the buffs naturally. Well, I'll just reverse your ability power rate for that. He also copies buffs. He also lowers their potency. He does a lot of really cool things that have existed in the Mystic class, but haven't really been like mainstream. And Destroyer is kind of following that route where he's doing new things without like you know, following an existing pattern, so to say, if that makes sense. So like Destroyer can destroy buffs, so that is his form of nullify, but it's not a nullify, it's destroying the buff, so it bypasses nullify immunity. So like that's kind of what I'm getting at. He's also got this crazy power gain that he uses to supercharge into special attacks. He's got a degen off his special 3, which, you know, most champs aren't immune to degens, so passive degen will stick, and then it'll boost up your special 2 damage. He also has these protection passives that get amplified by his signature ability, which means you will take less damage from sources when you have those protections active, and they are active when the opponent has buffs. And again, you're going to be, you know, fighting against cosmic champions, generally speaking, with Destroyer. So you are going to have those protection up pretty frequently. So Destroyer does a lot of cool things by like just directly like being in a fight against a buff heavy cosmic champion. But Destroyer is kind of weird because, you know, he doesn't, there's nothing currently that like I'm like, oh, I need Destroyer for that one fight. He's just kind of one of those stamps that's like, oh, let's see if this works by using him for this. I don't know. I think he's really solid overall, but I don't see myself just ever like being like, oh yeah, Destroyer, I need you for that one fight. Like, no. I've seen myself say that about numerous other Mystic champions, but I haven't had that once with Destroyer. But next up we've got Gorr. This is a perfect example of how supercharged Destroyer can get against buff heavy cosmic champions. So every time you strike Gorr, he gains a regen buff, and it replaces the old one. So every time you strike him, you see the duration essentially refreshing. He's gaining a new regen buff, and that is allowing Destroyer to ramp up his destruction charges. And that is what allows you to get your Fury passives and your power gain. So right here we drop a heavy, and then special 2. We should have just gone straight for the special 3 and then special 2s, because this would have had a chance to be a super fast fight. Instead, we you know, wait the whole duration of his special 1, and that shoots us to a special 3. It's not a huge deal, but you know, our ramp is sped up significantly because we don't have to intercept, we don't have to punish the special attacks, we don't have to punish heavy attacks. We just hit him and he gains buffs and we're supercharged. It's just kind of tough because, you know, we're still, I mean, granted, I could have played that better. That was a 60-something second fight. That's not that fast for a Mystic champion against Gorr. So now here we're getting into where Destroyer really shines, and that's Battlegrounds defense. Currently, the node set for him in the Victory Track and Gladiator circuit has Tenacity. There's also the Mutant Mastery, so every time a Mutant Defender places a debuff, they gain a Prowess buff. And then every time a debuff is purified, the defender gains a energized passive. So it's this recipe for Destroyer to be the most annoying defender, because most mutant champions place debuffs and they'll gain prowess buffs, and Destroyer will reduce the incoming damage they do through his protection passives, as well as reflect the incoming damage that has been protected from him, or protected off of him, onto the other opponent as rupture effect damage. So it's just this recipe for Destroyer to be this absolute menace on defense. And I can see those metas happening again in the future. I don't think they're going to be super common going forward, but I do think, you know, Destroyer will be this ultimate cheese god defender, you know, like once or twice every year, and I think it'll be useful to have him at rank 2. At least for Battlegrounds. I don't see him making waves on attack in Battlegrounds pretty much ever, unless he's like the ultimate counter to the new like meta Cosmic Defender. But I just don't see that happening because his utility is so like narrow and focused on being anti-mystic that I don't see him ever being a top option for anything, because like the opponent would have to be immune to Nullify, Stagger, and Fate Seal and have some really annoying effect that can be destroyed by him. I don't know. I just don't see him being a top option, especially when other overpowered Mystic options exist. And that's fine, because if you guys have been watching, Destroyer is really solid in story content. This is where he shines as an attacker, at least. He will shine in competitive content as a defender. That's fine. But in, you know, as an attacker, he will shine as a you know, really solid option in story. The protection passives against buffed opponents reduce incoming damage, like I said, so that makes him super safe to use. He also has bleed and poison immunity, so he works really well with the recoil masteries if you care to run those. He also has fury passives that you can ramp up pretty quickly, and if they fall off, you can ramp them back up again. And you know, you can keep those fury passives up indefinitely if you just refresh them. so you can ramp up in a fight that takes a little bit longer. And the great thing is that his best rotation is special 3 into special 2s, and that is easiest to do in a mode where you don't care about time, especially if you're running recoils, because special 1 or special 3 does no recoil damage, and the special 2 will likely kill the opponent, so you won't take any of the recoil damage there. So he's just all around a great questing champion. I'm not using recoil at all in this in this video, so if you rank him up and you run those masteries, expect the damage to be about 60% better, I believe is what the attack rating increase is. But like I said, he is a really strong champion. I just don't see him making waves as an attacker in Battlegrounds. That doesn't mean he's a bad champion. It's just, for most people, I don't think they're going to use their hard-earned resources on someone they can't really use effectively on Battlegrounds attack if they're not the best Mystic Defender. And Mystic Defenders like Sasquatch are the ones getting the rank up resources for defense, even though Sasquatch is an underrated attacker. But yeah, next up we've got Thor on Combat, Deja Vu, Unblockable, and some other nodes. Essentially, our damage can be doubled here. There's like Poison Vulnerability and Acid Wrath, but doesn't really, or Acid Wash I think is what it is. Doesn't matter because, the Mystic attackers on this node automatically place poison debuffs when you launch a special attack. But this is a cool showcase of the synergy that Destroyer has with Maestro and Overseer. The first hit of the special 1 becomes unblockable, and it also will destroy any unblockable and unstoppable buffs on the opponent and turn them into rubble. Rubble is a buff that does nothing, and it just feeds Mystic Dispersion for you. So yeah, this is just a really solid showing here of how strong Destroyer is in questing content. The power gain allows you to just spam specials, and it allows you to just do a bunch of damage. And that's what you need to get through fights, right? It's damage, and he's got a lot of damage. If you use a special 3 and special 2s, or just special 2s, especially if there's nodes that increase your attack rating, like we're getting here with these Fury passives from the node, as well as the Poison Vulnerability. But yeah, he's a really solid option for this lane, because if you struggle with Unblockable, you can just drop the special 1, and that will turn the Unblockable into rubble, and then you can correct yourself by doing a different combo and not triggering the Unblockable again if you don't want to. Me personally, I like to trigger it because it gives you destruction charges, and that ramps Destroyer up, and that allows us to cycle specials with our crazy power gain. A really cool thing about Destroyer is that the last 3 hits of his special 2 are fully unblockable, so you can just throw the special 2 into the opponent's block and just watch their block break. So the last fight here is Venom Pool. Last fight on this lane, at least. We have, I think, 2 more lanes we'll go into, because I think they're pretty fun to show off. But yeah, this lane shows off the cool little rubble mechanic that he's got, but again, it's like, I don't know when we will need to, destroy a buff instead of nullifying it. I know nullify immunity exists, but I'm just trying to imagine the use case scenarios for this, and I can't, which kind of sucks, but at least the damage is really good, and he's generally a strong attacker, so I can't really knock him too much for that. I ran into Venom Pool Special 2 there, and I suck. Next up, we have this one lane where every time you strike the opponent, they gain an armor up buff, and then every time they launch a special attack, they convert armors into fury buffs. So this is a really cool node combination, because this will be basically Destroyer against Gorr all the time. Every time we strike the opponent, they gain a buff. Every time they gain a buff, we gain destruction charges. So that speeds up our ramp significantly. So now, after this special 1 here, Hela throws her special 2, converts all those buffs into fury buffs, and now we can just spam special attacks and deal an insane amount of damage. It's just really solid stuff, and we're gonna get pushed to our special 3 anyway, so I dropped my special 1 to build up some destruction charges. Then we drop the special 3 here, and a really cool showing of when the destroy mechanic actually makes sense is the striker, you know, takes her to 1% health, she gains the indestructible, and then we destroy the indestructible with our basic attacks from the signature ability, and then we end up killing her, you know, with our basic attacks while she had the nullify immunity active. So that was one cool instance where that mechanic shines. I'm sure there are more where that shines, but I'm not sure of where they all exist. But right here we go for our special 3, because I realized after that Hela fight, we are not dealing enough damage using just our special 2s. So right here, boom, that was 234,000 damage. Now we could just go in here, do a striker, and he's dead because the degen was doing 3,000 damage per tick. Next up, we've got Green Goblin. He's the last fight on this lane. He's really solid here, or Destroy is really solid here for Green Goblin. No reason in specific, because you know, Green Goblin really doesn't do much as a defender. Destroyer is just generally really good against buff heavy champions, and this node turns Green Goblin into a super buff heavy champion. So we are just trying to get a bunch of intercepts here, and then I tried to get a heavy attack in to pause those fury buffs, and I think I did. And then we go for the special 3 here. And then the skip special 3 button is so useful. I used to never have it equipped, and now it's really opened things up. Like, now I want Vision Arcus on my account so I can use him. But yeah, Green Goblin's gonna be done here after we use another special 2. So that's it for me, guys. If you did enjoy this video, you know, hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and let me know what your guys' thoughts are on Destroyer, because I'm kind of, you know, mixed on him, but I want to see what you guys think. Maybe you guys can sway me in one direction. But with that being said, I'll see you guys for the next video or the next stream. Peace out.